So I finally read all of Nana Volume 1 all the way to 21 plus the extra chapters online, and just know I am sad. Like, I've spent a whole week reading it and I went through so many different emotions. Like, I've seen the anime so many different times, but it did not prepare me for all the heartbreak and the different emotions I was going to feel reading this manga, because there was multiple times that I had tears in my eyes and multiple times that I was crying because of all the stuff that happened. Especially experiencing some of the scenes from the anime that I've seen and reading it in the manga form and seeing like how the stuff led up and like reading at a, you know, a faster pace than like watching the anime. Just so many different emotions. But we all know that Nana is an amazing series that depicts what life is like for women in their early 20s, along with depicting like how some men are in their early 20s, because some of the men that are in this anime, it does depict how some of them are, along with showing all the different relationships, showing either what a healthy relationship looks like, a toxic relationship, a bad relationship, but it depicts all these different type of relationships that people can have, and like how romance is when you're in your early 20s and you're going out with different people and experiencing life and either seeking love. And also shines so many different topics on, especially like minors. Like in Shin's case, it displays like what can happen to minors, especially when they're getting abused by their parents or their parents like leave them behind and things like that. And the series also shows us like how hard it is to actually accomplish your dreams with so many obstacles that keep getting in the way, because in this series we see that characters have dreams and so many things keep getting in the way, holding them back from maybe achieving their dreams, or even if they do achieve their dreams, there's still things holding them back. But yeah, Nana is a roller coaster of a series that makes you feel so many different emotions, especially with some of the things these characters do. And at the end of the day, I just wish a lot of them would just talk. It would fix so many of the bad outcomes that happened in this series if these characters would just talk at an earlier time, you know, just communicate. But you know, that happened, you know, we wouldn't really have a series because it wouldn't be problematic and as much drama as there was if they actually did talk. But yeah, I'm just so happy that I finally read all of Nana, at least, you know, all of it that's out right now, because you know it's been on hiatus forever. But yeah, let's talk about the manga, because I have so many different things I want to talk about. I want to talk about some of the earlier stuff that was covered in the anime and the manga, plus get into stuff that was in the manga, talk about the characters, and I want to go in depth about some of the relationships and some of the other topics that I feel about Nana though. But yes, let's talk about Nana. Just know if you've not read the manga, go read the manga. So reading the manga and reading the parts that the anime covered, it made me realize so many different things, especially foreshadow, because there's a lot of foreshadow in this series for like stuff that happens early on. Like for instance, when it comes to Shoji and Hachi's relationship, you can kind of tell early on at certain parts where like the cut line and like the drift between the relationship was starting to fall off. I mean, the main point is when they're at Jackson and Shoji's like, oh, Nana, you want to come back to my place? And she's like, no, I need to go take this burger to Nana. And you see at that moment, that's when there was like that breaking point, because at that moment you see Shoji's just feeling all alone because he wanted to spend time with his girlfriend, but like all Nana keeps doing is talking about the other Nana the whole time. And that's why you start to see that little drift. And that's why when Hachiko shows up, he starts to lean towards her, mainly because he sees there's finally somebody there that's giving him the attention that he wants. And yes, we know that Shoji most definitely was an asshole for doing that, because like, dog, you should have broke up with Hachi instead of, you know, trying to date two girls at the same time, which was so stupid. It was like, dog, just break up with her and get with the other one. But we know that he did love Hachi and he just didn't want to like break her heart. That's why he was going to eventually tell her. But I mean, at the same time, it didn't seem like he was going to tell her at all. There's people like that all the time that say, oh yeah, I'm gonna eventually tell the other person, and then they proceed to never tell the other person. But yeah, their relationship really just fell out because Hachi was more focused on Nana. She wasn't really giving Shoji the attention that he quote unquote wanted. Shoji could have put in more effort in the relationship, because there's certain points, like at the Jackson thing, he could have been like, you know what, let me go with you over there and let me spend time. So there's little moments that he could have actually put more into a relationship, or if they would have communicated, because they had one time they communicated, but there could have been other times, because like they could have fixed the problems that they were having. That way he would have not even thought about cheating with Hachiko. But yeah, that's some of the things I noticed. One of the other things I noticed is when like Hachi calls Takumi and talking about, oh, I want to, when she's trying to quote unquote cut off the relationship, and he talks about, oh, are you pregnant? He's like, oh, good, because that would have been a problem. And that was kind of foreshadowing in a way, mainly because like we already heard that Takumi, he doesn't want a baby. So like when he shows up the Hachi, we're thinking like, oh shit, he's gonna be like, no, get an abortion. That's why she says what she says. But then, you know, he has that whole 180 on there, and then also re-experiencing all the heartbreak that Hachi and Nana have, especially when Nana blacks out and she breaks the glasses because like her whole world is being flipped over because of Takumi and Hachi having a baby, and then Hachi just letting Takumi talk, and you see the way she's acting. And also you see all the moments that it's like they could have just talked. Like, I wish they would have talked. There were so many moments that Nana and Hachi could have talked and it could have been amazing, but they didn't. And also experiencing the whole pregnancy, everything with Hachi was so sad, because in the anime I was so sad about that moment, but like reading it with the manga makes it even sadder because I already knew what was going to happen, and then when it finally happened it was just like, oh my gosh. And going through all of that, seeing the stuff that Takumi does, seeing how much he is an asshole, and just know I do see in the manga how much an asshole he becomes, because the anime doesn't prepare you for like the bullshit he's gonna be on in the manga though. But yeah, just reliving all these scenes that I've seen in the anime and reading it on the manga was just, it just put me through all the emotions that I feel when I'm watching the anime, but actually reading it now, it just made me feel those emotions again though. So some of the things I want to talk about that happens after the anime is of course when Hachi and Takumi finally get married, and we see some of their, I'll talk about their relationship a little bit more later on detail, but like we see how he does actually want to be with her, and they do eventually get married, and you know they have a lot of other discourse that we'll talk about later. One of the other things I'll talk about is just like how Nana and Rin, they get engaged but never really married because they both have kind of problems with the marriage ever coming through, and plus we know other things that happen, especially with Rin, which is very sad. One of the other things I did enjoy about the manga was that we got a lot of different backstories for characters, and one of the ones I liked was Takumi's, because he's a fascinating character that I'll talk about in a little bit, but like we got backstory, so I was happy about that. Shin going to jail was something I was not expecting, but I mean it makes sense because like how he gets abused by women, and women take advantage of him, I should say, because you have that older woman that was the one that trained him to do the stuff that he does, and we know how Shin's past is and his whole life is like he has a really messed up life, sadly, because there's nobody there that can really lead him down the right path, because he's not surrounded by the best adults, like the best examples of like how adults are, I'll say. One of the other things I thought was interesting is like how Nobu gets with Asami, and like he actually does find somebody else after Nana, but then you know later on with them other chapters, what is like 83 and 84 I think it is, you saw that once Hachi's living at the dorm for a little, you saw like how he was trying to holler at Hachi again, and I'm like, dog, you have a whole girlfriend. But we'll touch on that later though. One of the other things is like how we see Nana's mom. I was not expecting us to actually see her mom in the anime, and then we saw that she has a sister too, and then all the drama that happens with them, I was like, what, we gonna do that? And then of course the last thing I just want to say is Ren's death. I had so many tears reading Ren's death, because it's just, it makes me so mad and sad, because he wanted to see Nana, and we know him and Nana were having problems, and they were like had that little issue because of like what happened with Shin, and like we know how Nana just wanted to sing, and it just sucks that they didn't get to see each other. And we know also he was doing drugs, and at that moment I'm pretty sure he more than likely did overdose at that moment or something like that, and that might have been why he got into that car crash at his house. I'm not sure exactly, I did not really look up any theories or anything about it, but I'm just guessing because we knew that he was on drugs and he was taking stuff, so something could have happened at that moment. And then we saw that he protected his hands, which was so sad. Like his whole death was like, it just broke me. His whole death broke me. It was one of the saddest moments in the whole manga, because I heard about his death before, but I did not know this lead up. Actually getting the lead up made it even worse, because like after I finished the anime years ago, I did look up a little bit of stuff about the manga, and I saw that he dies, but I never knew all the lead up towards it. But like getting that lead up, it was just like so sad, because he had a present for Nana too, and he was actually gonna see her. He just had to go get Reira, because Reira was running away because she was thinking that she was like trying to help Rin, that way he could get off the drugs and all that. But then you know also she blames herself for Rin's death, and we saw at the funeral the way she was acting, how she was saying like she was gonna go up to Nana and say she's the reason why Rin died, which was like, no girl, you do not say that. That's why Shin cut up into her. But yeah, there's so many moments in the manga that just, but that one right there is just so heartbreaking. Like, it's so heartbreaking, especially because Nana hasn't even really grieved for Rin. Like, she hasn't even realized that it's, like, actually happened, and that's just the sad part about it. Like, that was... It's just so heartbreaking. It really is. So I want to talk about each individual character, and I'm gonna go into all these different characters and like how I feel about them and what I think about them. The first character I want to talk about is Nana. Now when it comes to Nana, she's a control freak. She's also a manipulator, because when it comes to control, she wants to have people only on her side, especially when it comes to blast and trapness, because that's how she feels about Hachi, and how she kind of just manipulates Nobu in a way of trying to like get him to go after Hachi, even though he doesn't want to because of the baby and all the other stuff. So there's stuff like that, and how she freaks out when like people are gone because she does not want to lose people, because one, she has abandonment issues from her mom because her mom left her, and her grandma wasn't really the best example for like raising her, because you saw some of the stuff from the past and like the way Nana acted. And also when it comes to singing, she only thinks about herself when it comes to singing. She puts herself on top. That's because like she wants to achieve, and all she wants to do is sing, and it is heartbreaking that she never really gets to sing besides a few different times. You saw when they were finally about to go on the tour, Shin went to jail, and that's stopped her from like actually singing. That's caused the feud between her and Rin, because she wanted Rin to come there because she really wanted to sing. And we saw the one time when she's actually about to start her solo career, we saw that Rin passed away, and that kind of stopped that from happening at that moment. We know that she really wants to sing, and she really doesn't get that much opportunity to do. That's why she always wants to put singing above everything, because that's all she really wants to do. And also, she does not know how to express herself like at all. There's a lot of problems when that comes with it, when she doesn't know how to express herself, because like she lets everything build up until it finally like boils over, and then we see that she relies on people way too much, because she relies on Yasu way too much, and that's why he has to like start like shifting away from her, because he's like, yo, you have Rin, go see Rin. And we also see that she has way too much pride, but we do see that she slowly but surely tries to get away from that pride, but there's still certain moments that she's being prideful over, and that's like her and Rin not communicating, and it's just like she should have went and talked to Rin. So there's little stuff like that. And I will say, the way like she just feels like she always has to have Hachi in her corner that she can feel safe. I mean, a lot of that is because of her abandonment issues that she has from like being young, and especially like with her mom. That's why I kind of wish we had more of the manga, that I could see like what exactly is going to happen when she actually does meet her mom, if she ever does. We know like the last few chapters of the manga that have been out, we saw that the mom actually does want to meet Nana, but we'll see what happens whenever that happens in the future, if we ever get it though. But yeah, those are some of the things I think about her. Like, I like her character, but there's little aspects of there that show that she is toxic, especially like her and Rin's relationship is very toxic. Like, I'll talk about the relationship later, but these are some of the things that I feel about Nana. Now let's talk about Hachi. Now Hachi's another fascinating character, because she comes basically to Japan because like she wants love, because she's a character that's always wanted to experience love, and she never really got the chance to, because the one person she actually got with was a grown-ass man, you know, that was married. She was basically getting taken advantage of by a grown man that knew damn well that she was a high schooler. And that's why she doesn't really know what love is. That's when she meets Shoji that she's like, yo, I want to actually experience love. But then once she gets there, we see that stuff happens between them. Then she meets Takumi, and then that's when her world goes flipped from upside down, because all the different things that happen. And the thing about her, she is young and dumb because she's experiencing different things. That's like why she gets with Takumi and has the type of relationship that they have, because she's just young and dumb. And like, I will say that she does kind of like being in a relationship at the same time. Not really. She's just very young and inexperienced when it comes to certain things. And also, she gets attached to people very fast. Like, that's one of the things that I feel it was her problems, that she gets attached so fast, and she never really has time to like grieve when it comes to like her breakup, because she breaks up with Shoji, and then next thing you know, she meets Takumi, and then she has the whole thing with Takumi, and then goes all the way to Nobu. So she never really gets time to be by herself, and that was her problem. She never got time just to be by herself and not think about men and focus on herself. That was the problem that I really had with her, because I was just like, if she just focused on herself, she could have done so many different things in this story, instead of, you know, going after this man, having these type of things, you know, finding a rebound, because Takumi was technically a rebound, because once she was feeling lonely and he was there, and especially because she lost her job that day, so she was really feeling sad, and that's why she goes to him. And then he even comes back to her because, you know, he was jealous or whatever, and that's why she gets that little hope, like, oh, maybe I can be with Takumi. And then she starts to like be with Nobu and experience actual like what love could be for her, and until, you know, she finds out she's pregnant, and then that changes everything. But yeah, those are some of the things I think about her. Now, next character is Rin. I just have a few things about Rin. Is like, Rin has shown that he's always been the bad boy. We see that he does have drug issues, and it just sucks that nobody ever really tries to help him out. Like, they should have helped him out better than what they did. Like, they most definitely should have threw him in rehab at that moment, instead of worrying about the goddamn band. Like, take a goddamn break and let him go in rehab, because he needs it. Also, he is another one that is very prideful, because he should have just went out of his way to talk to Nana, even though, I mean, eventually he was going to, but like, it should have been faster than what it actually was. He also uses people as coping device, especially like Nana, because like he was thinking like, oh, I need to talk to you, Nana, that way you can tell me to stop using these drugs, because he needs them as some type of coping device. And he also is another character that feels very, very lonely. Yes, there's more to his character, but this is some of the things I wanted to talk about, because I gotta get to the next character, because the next character, in my opinion, is one of the most complex-ish characters in this whole series, because there's so many moments in this series I don't understand. I think I'm understanding him, then he does something that tells me I don't understand him, and that is Takumi. Because Takumi is a fascinating character, because when we first see him, we just see him as just like the famous person that's a playboy and he gets around and gets with different women, but then he'll do certain things that make you go like, isn't this against your character? Like how he actually steps up and he's like saying like, yo, I'm gonna marry you, Hachi, and I'm also gonna take care of the baby. And at that moment I'm like, isn't this like against his whole thing, like his whole character? I thought like he was the one that would be like, yo, get rid of that baby, because we see in his past, when you get his backstory, he does that to a girl in high school. He gets rid of the baby. So there's a lot of things there that I'm just like, that I'd be like, what exactly is his character at times? Because he is an asshole, but then there's other times he'll say something that you'd be like, what, did you just really say that? But yeah, let's talk about some of the things about this man Takumi, because he is a fascinating character. Because one, he's an abusive person, mentally and physically, because one, he does rape Nana multiple different times. Even though they are in a relationship and they are engaged, he does do that multiple times, because, you know, he always feels jealous. Especially the time when, the worst time is like when he does that, like when Nana finds out that she's pregnant and all that, and he tries to do stuff there. And then there's the other time in the hotel. So yeah, he's a very abusive person mentally and physically. That's one of the things I do hate about him with a passion, because it's like, dog, you could just be better than what you are, but he's just a horrible person. And we see that time and time again, because one, he cheats a lot. And I mean, he cheats a lot. And it's like, dog, weren't you just saying that you want to have your kids like do all these different things that you never got to experience when you were younger, but here you go cheating? So yeah, there's stuff like that. One of the things is he's very self-centered. He only cares about himself and trappedness, because that's the one thing he puts on a pedestal. Because he told Nana, he's like, yo, my work is always going to come first. Trappedness is what I care about the most. I want this to be what it is, because he cares about like Reira singing, and like he's the one that runs the business and all that. So he always puts that first above any and everybody. He's very insensitive because he does not understand people. He's a control freak. He's a manipulator. He does have trauma from his childhood, because he saw that his dad was an alcoholic, and then we saw what happened to his mom. But yes, he is a manipulator, because some of the things that he says, especially what he says to Nana and what he says to other people too, and just know at the end of the day, he's just an asshole. Yes, there are little things that I'm looking at his character that I'd be like, wow, he actually could be a good person, but then he, you know, he does his usual where he cheats or he says some very insensitive shit, because he does that a lot of times. Because there's multiple times in the manga you see that him and Nana's relationship is kind of shaky because of some of the things that he says, because it shows at times that he doesn't care about her, but other times it shows that he does care about her. I'll talk about their relationship more in detail in a little bit, because there's so much about the relationship that I'm just like, why exactly is he so attached to Hachi? Even though it goes against his character though, because some of the things that he does in this series, but I mean, there's a reason why, because he always wants to be in control, and he wants anything that's in his possession, he wants it to be exclusively to him. That's mainly why, because it's like, if you're one of his women, he wants you to exclusively be just one of his women. That's kind of what it gives off. Now, Shin is a fascinating character, because Shin, he gets abused by women and gets used by women, and it basically gets manipulated, because we saw the one woman is the one that taught him all these things, and we just see that he has very bad influences around him when it comes to adults. And also, he doesn't know what love is, because one, his mom, you know, she killed herself, and then like his dad never really cared about him, because he doesn't know if he was actually his child or not, because like the mom might have slept around or whatever. So there's stuff like that, and that's why he doesn't know what actual love is. So that's why he acts the way that he does, because he doesn't know what love is, and that's why he does some of the things that he does in the story, because he just doesn't know what love is. He doesn't have love of a parent. He doesn't even have like a father figure, a mother figure. I mean, he kind of gets a mother figure with Hachi, but I ain't counting that, because Hachi does not know right from wrong. Like, she's the bad person. She's not the right person to be like an actual mother figure. But yeah, he's just a character that's just like one of the saddest ones in this series, because like how his life is. I just wish they would do better for him. We saw once he went to jail and he came back, he starts slowly but surely realizing he wants to kind of do better with his life. Now, when it comes to Nobu, the things I think about him is that he's too sweet. He is a coward, and also he kind of wants to be a knight in shining armor kind of at times, because that's kind of what it gives off at times, because like when he wants to like basically save Hachi and like get with her and show her like what a real relationship is. But also he does feel like a coward, because I feel like he does run away a lot when it comes to his character, either with Hachi being pregnant, not like stepping up and saying what he actually wanted to say, and like how, I mean, he did run away from his parents, because instead of just telling his parents like, yo, this is what I'm doing with my life and all that, he just runs away and just goes with Nana. And then also when it comes to him and Azumi, we see at times with how he uses her at that party, because he sees Hachi there and he's feeling all sad, he kind of uses her there, and like how he doesn't just step up and just tell Azumi like what he actually wants. I mean, he does at times, because he actually wants their relationship to be good, but then we saw later on the way he's acting when Hachi shows up at the dorm, that kind of made me feel like, dog, I thought you were actually good with Azumi, because you told her she's the one that got you out of this slump in the way that you were feeling because of Hachi. So I don't know, there's a lot of different things about Nobu. I could go more in detail. There's other people that can tell me in the comments about Nobu, how they feel about his character, but I don't know, I just feel like he's a coward at times. That's how I personally feel because of the way he acts though. Now when it comes to Yasu, he's one of the characters that's the most reliable in this series because we see it time and time again, like how everybody relies on him and how he's always, you know, the one that's always the smartest, even though he does have problems himself because he has to like carry this load of all these different people that are going through it. And we saw that it does take a toll on him because that's why he's like, dog, y'all can't just keep relying on me because I have to have my own life. That's why eventually he does get with Miyu, that he can experience his own type of love, and he stops trying to like baby Nana because he was babying Nana way too goddamn much. And then also when it comes to Rin, he told Rin like, get your goddamn act together, I'ma steal your woman. So there's stuff like that. I mean, he's just the cool chill one. And then like we see the little relationship he has with Shinan and like how he's the one that's really trying to like help out when it comes to like Nana's mom and sister, that whole situation that does happen in the story. Now Reira. Now Reia's an interesting character because one, she's never really experienced real love because every time it seems like she meets somebody and she's with them, they always show her that they don't really choose her above everything else, either with Yasu or Shin. It seems like nobody ever picks her. One, she has unrequited love because she's in love with Takumi and she's been in love with him basically since the day they met in a way. And there's just little things there about her. Also, she is very wrong for doing what she does with Shin when she knew goddamn well Shin was a goddamn minor. Also, she doesn't know how to read the room. That's another thing too. Now, the next one is Mai or Misato. Now, basically, she has no parent love. The only person that really loved her was her grandpa, and that was actually fascinating learning her story and like how she was using the name of actually Nana's sister. So like that was actually crazy when we actually met the real one. We're like, oh, that y'all have the same name? That was kind of crazy. But yeah, you understand her character. That's why she always goes there because she felt attached to Nana because of like how her grandpa and her grandma's like closeness, and that's why she felt so close to Nana, and that's why she would go to them concerts. So it was just interesting seeing her backstory, and that's what I really liked about her character. Also, she's another one that's very reliable, and she also acts like an adult more than all the other characters because she kind of has her act together more than them, even though, you know, she's not even an adult yet. Now, a character I did like that was introduced later on in the manga was Shinan, who's like has that connection with Yasu because they've been friends for like a long ass time and she's always been a groupie. Just know she's a ride or die. She'll do anything for that man, and she knows how to take action and take in charge. It's kind of fascinating that her and Yasu didn't get like married because honestly those two do like connect like that, like, especially because she's a ride or die. Now next one is Miyu. Now I did like Miyu's character because like we see her a little bit in the anime, but in the manga we get more of her and we see how she's wise, but at the same time she does hurt herself and she does doubt herself a lot because of certain stuff that's happened in her past. But I do like her character because she adds a lot to the story, especially later on with Hachi, I will say. Now another character is Azumi. Now Azumi, I like Azumi's character actually a lot because I felt like she fits Nobu a lot because like one, when she gets in a relationship she wants to love that person a lot, and I feel like Nobu actually needed somebody that can love him a lot, so I really enjoyed her character a lot. When it comes to Junko, because Junko will be the last character I really feel like talking about. Now Junko is one of these characters that she's like a mom to Hachi, but at the same time she's a bad friend, mainly because anytime Hachi would be going through something she would always lecture Hachi instead of actually supporting her emotionally. Like she'll always go for the lecture, and that was just like, no Junko, no, you need to like actually emotionally support her at that moment, then the next day you lecture her, because in that moment Hachi does not need to get that lecture. But at the same time, she is a good friend, but at the same time, she's a bad friend because for some of the times how she's very insensitive when it comes to Hachi's emotions, though. So I want to talk about the relationships that each of these characters have, and I want to go in detail. Now, the first one I want to talk about is Nana and Hachi's relationship. When it comes to their relationship, Hachi is Nana's first best friend ever and female friend ever, I should say, because Nana did not have no female friends growing up. The only friend she really made was Nobu, so this is like a really great experience for her because she's never had a female friend, and that's why she's so close, and that's why they're kind of so close to each other, because one, they do love each other, of course. They have that dynamic of the friendship of a very strong friendship. Even though they haven't really known each other for that long, they just clicked like that. But also we see that Nana really just has a big attachment for Hachi, and she only wants Hachi by her, and we see like how that attachment is, and it gets explained in the story like the attachment is, and like other characters they talk about how they thought that Nana and Hachi like each other and other things like that, because there are characters that mention that. And also we see that Hachi adores Nana Nana a lot. We just see that they just have a strong relationship, but at the same time we see that they support each other. Like they both have to support each other a lot, because we see when they have that little falling out that they have when, you know, you find out that Hachi's pregnant, we see like how that support system fell because they really needed each other. But like eventually in the manga we see that Hachi does come around again for Nana. They do eventually hang out again because like of what Nana says on the TV, and we see that they're better. I mean, relationship's never gonna be the same because one, Hachi's with Takumi, and we know how Nana feels about Takumi. Like, you know, there's multiple different times she's trying to get Hachi away. She's like, Nobu, go snatch Hachi away, or she's like, hey Hachi, live here with me, because she still wants Hachi in her corner. And that's where you kind of have like the little toxic aspect to it, because it seems like she kind of wants to decide what Hachi can kind of do with her life because she does not want her near Takumi. I mean, that's her also just knowing that Takumi is a bad person. That's kind of why she wants it that way. But at the same time, there's a little toxic aspect there of like the way she just like wants Hachi to be the way she is. But I do like their relationship a lot because Nana really did need a female friend, because she's never had a female friend, and that's kind of why she doesn't know how to express herself the way she does, and that's why she lets so many things build up and then it boils to the top. Now the next relationship is probably the deepest and most in-depth relationship we see in this whole series, and that is Takumi and Hachi's. Now, their relationship starts as basically a one-night stand, and he just smashes just because he's like, oh, it's a free smash, and then he's like, oh, she likes me because I'm in the band. That's what he's thinking, and it just used as that, and he even gives her the number, and then it turns into casual sex, mainly because he gets jealous, because you hear Nobu gets upset at him, pours the drink on him, turns into casual sex, and they meet up a few different times, and then you see that Hachi wants in a relationship because she's with Nobu, but then this man shows up, and he wants talking about, oh, I'll take care of the baby, and we can get married, and at that moment, you're just like, what is their relationship exactly like? Why does he care about her? And then there's little things that are sprinkled in there. He does feel that Hachi's probably the only woman that actually understands him, kind of, because like she knows that like he's always going to put the band above, and that's why he kind of like, that's some of the things I can see that why he likes her exactly. And also he does want the family aspect, because we see like his backstory, like how his family actually is, how his mom passed away, and how his dad is an alcoholic, how his sister is, because we know that he fights his sister's husband and all that too. So there's little aspects there that he just wants to have a happy family. There's even parts when he's with Hachi and he's talking about like how he wants to do all these different things with their child, because one, there's so many different things he didn't get to experience for himself as he was younger, so he wants to make it so his children can experience those things. So like there's little things like that, but there's also times where he's an asshole, and I mean a big asshole to her. Like when she shows up to that one party because Naoki asks her to come, and then he's over here losing his mind about her, and he's like, oh, I told you not to be here, and they get upset and they have a little argument, and then you see when they finally go to the room, he does this one thing where, you know, he f***s her, which is like, why? Like little things like that is what pisses me off about his character. Instead of talking things out, this man always wants to smother himself on her, and it's just like, why? And like Hachi just sits there and takes it, and that's the sad thing about it. And the thing about Hachi is Hachi realizes she does love Takumi, mainly because he was there in the moment that she needed when it comes to like her being pregnant. He was there actually comforting her and trying to take care of her, because Nobu just ran away because he was too worried about her being still in contact with Takumi instead of worrying about her in that moment about her being pregnant and other stuff. But yeah, we know that she basically just loves him because of that. Like there are times that I feel like the relationship is like going really well. There's times that where it shows that he does care about her. There's like times where she's over at the apartment with Nana, and like this man waits him. He's like, Hachi, where are you at? And he's like, oh, I guess she's gone. Or he goes up to Rin, he's like, yo, Rin, can you go talk to your woman that my wife can come back here? And we see that he actually does marry her, because there's so many different women that are in his life, and like he actually picks Hachi, because I do feel like he does actually love Hachi, but at the same time, this nigga is not loyal at all. And I mean not at all, especially the stuff he does with the one random like I think it was like actress that he's with, and other random women that he's with, and what he does with Reira. So he's just a very annoying character, and it just shows like how their relationship is. I do wonder like how exactly the relationship gets the way it is, because there's so many different moments in here that show like their relationship has so many cracks in it, even though they are married now. But there's so many little cracks, because like he doesn't just do the bare minimum for Hachi. Like all he would have to do was the bare minimum, and it would be better than what he does, but sadly he can't even do the goddamn bare minimum. Their relationship is just so it pisses me off, but then at the same time there's parts of it that I'm just like fascinated with, because I'm just like, why does he have this attachment to Hachi? I wish we got like a real in-depth detail. Maybe if you know, like their marriage, maybe if we ever get more chapters, maybe we'll get like some type of in-depth detail, maybe when he's telling his vows to Hachi, that we can know. But at the same time, he's a playboy, and he's nice with his words, and we all know that though. But yeah, that's how I feel about their relationship. it's an irritating relationship, but there's still so much to it that if we ever get more of the manga that could go in detail, especially because like some of the future stuff when we see the way they act, because they do have another child because they have 2 kids together, so there's something there that had to happen. And I do want to see, like, do they actually have a real wedding or not, if that ever happens or not. Now, the next relationship I want to talk about is Nana and Ren's. Now, their relationship is a very codependency one because they depend on each other way too goddamn much. Like, that's the thing. And also, when they're lonely, they get lonely, and I mean lonely, and they're both very prideful, and they both just need each other because Nana will freak out if she's alone and she'll feel abandoned, and Ren basically most definitely needs Nana to keep him straight, because if he's not with Nana, he's gonna be on his drugs and all the stuff like that. And that's like with Nana, if she's not with Ren, you see she freaks out because she needs Ren there, because Yasu doesn't want to like support Nana the way that he has in the past, and he wants Ren to be that support system. So they have really a toxic relationship because it's like it just relies on them always having to be together. There's not really no real commitment, because like if they really wanted that real commitment, they would be married. But we see that like Ren only does that because he just wants to like have Nana feel secure, but at the same time Nana does not want kids or anything like that. She just wants to sing. So like there is like a little bit of abuse when it comes to a relationship, because they don't know what they want, but at the same time they need each other. But when they're not with each other, they're gonna be doing the worst things ever in a way, because they're gonna be feeling the worst kind of in a way. I mean, Nana, she has stuff right now in the manga that was focusing herself and not really thinking about Ren, but at the same time she still struggled at certain times when she would think about certain things, especially when you saw the picture of Ren and Reira, how she was freaking out because of that. So there's little things there that if they just talked, their relationship could be way better than what it was. But at the same time, they do a lot of toxic things with their relationship because they rely too much on each other, and they can never really be alone, because if they're alone, they're gonna be suffering. Now, a relationship I really hate in this series that I wish never happened is Reira and Shin's relationship, because one, Shin's a minor, and also Shin gets manipulated and abused by women and by adults, and that's why I don't like this. Because the thing I hate is that Reira knows that their relationship is bad, because she knows that if they ever got caught with each other, like how big it would be in the media and how she would get in trouble and how this would like cause a whole uproar, but she continuously does it. She even finds out like dog, he's a prostitute, and she even like finds out that the stuff he does, and she literally goes and seeks him out when she meets him at the party, and it's just like, why? Like, yes, I know they do kind of have love for each other, but at the same time, I'm just like, no, I hate this relationship. It's like it should have never been a thing at all. Either they should have made Shin older, or she could have just found somebody else, or they could have used Yasu and her, like they could have rekindled that one or something like that. That would have been better than this. Like, yes, I know, I understand its importance, but at the same time, it's just like, why did they have to include this? Like, why did she have to write their characters like this? I understand why they did, because one, this does show off, because one, they're famous and all that, and it shows off like how the industry is, how there are a lot of adults that will talk to minors, and also it does highlight how a lot of minors will get used by older women and manipulated into becoming prostitutes and stuff like that. So I mean, it sheds light on that, but at the same time, just like, why did we have to have these two have a relationship? Now, Yasu and Nana's relationship is like kind of like a big brother little sister relationship. At the same time, Yasu is in love with Nana too, but at the same time, he's like Nana's backbone. He's always going to take care of her and hold her down. But then Nana knows that he's in love with her, and she just kind of takes advantage of his kindness, because when she's feeling lonely, she goes to him, but at the same time, she really can't express herself, because there's multiple times where she could have expressed herself better than what she did, but she doesn't. Like that time when she runs away from Hachi, when she finds out that Takumi was at the door and they were hugging, and she runs away and runs to Yasu. Instead of actually saying what was wrong, she just goes there, jokes and all this other stuff, especially like when it comes to the restaurant. So there's times where she could have expressed herself, and their relationship could have been better, because they could have potentially dated if she actually expressed herself to him more. But at the same time, he probably would have never dated her, because Ren's his best friend, and he's thinking of Ren most of the time, and that's why he does say certain things to Ren to get Ren more motivated to get with Nana. But like I said, their relationship is really big brother little sister relationship. At the same time, she relies on Yasu way too goddamn much, and that's why it starts to take a burden on him, and that's why he has to stop doing what he's doing. He's like, yo, I need to cut you off, and like I need you to start taking care of yourself, and I can't baby you no more. Now, the next relationship is Nobu and Nana's. Now, they're actually really good friends. This is Nana's first friend, and like I really do like their dynamic because we saw that she really needed a friend, especially because we saw when her grandma died and like how Nobu was there for her and she really didn't have nobody, and how he does introduce her to Rin. And yes, that does start like the cycle of like her and Rin's relationship. At the same time, Nobu is just a really great friend for Nana, and I love their dynamic, even though Nana is toxic at times when she's trying to manipulate him to like run after Hachi, that way Hachi could always be in Nana's like circle and always will be around her, that way she'll feel safe. And Nobu even like says that he's like, yo, you're always trying to manipulate me just to go get her, that way you can be happy that Nana is close to you. There's things like that where she's toxic in a relationship, but at the same time I do just enjoy their little relationship because it gives her a friend, and like it gives her a really good friend that she needs, and like somebody she can actually lean upon at certain times. And, like they joke a lot, she will show some type of emotions towards him because they are really good friends. Now Nobu and Hachi's relationship is a fascinating one because Nobu, the thing I don't like about what Nobu does is like how he just scoops in there and he's trying to just like get Hachi to like get away from Takumi and all that because he has feelings for her, and he doesn't really think about her exactly because, one, like I said earlier, Hachi never gets a break to just think about herself. There's always men that just come out of nowhere and they want to be with her, and that's kind of what Nobu does. Yes, I will say he was a way better choice than Takumi, and yes, when they were together they were having really great time and their chemistry was amazing, and like Hachi was the happiest she ever was in her life. But at the same time, he's a coward. He's a big coward because, one, he is so concerned and worried about like, oh, were you still in contact with Takumi, instead of worrying about her being pregnant and actually just being there and staying with her, because he didn't even stay there, because like he could have just stayed there and told her like, yeah, and just been there and comfort her, and then they could have talked about what exactly they would do when it comes to the baby, either keep the baby or get their abortion, because later on in the story we do see that Nana talks about that if he would have stayed there with her and they actually talked, she more than likely would have got the abortion because she would have realized that like Nobu can't take care of the baby at all. So there's little things like that that made me just go like, yeah, you could have just stayed, because like I think he was too concerned about Takumi, and like we see that throughout the story how he's really concerned about him majority of the time, when it's like he should have just comforted her in that moment. Even if he couldn't take care of the baby, he should have just comforted her in that moment and stayed there with her, and she would have chose him over Takumi, because like she only chose Takumi because Takumi was there. And the one thing that pisses me off is how, I think it's chapter 83 or 84, how they're hugging and you see he's having all these emotions for her even though he's with Azumi, and I'm like, dog, you have a whole ass girlfriend, she is married with a baby. And the one thing I did like is that Nana pushes him off when they're about to kiss, because she's over here thinking about what happened to her and when it came to Shoji and Hachiko, and she was thinking about like, yo, I don't want this other woman to feel the same pain that I had to feel. So like that's her thinking of that. And also I just don't like how that was in the story when it's like, dog, we know that he's never gonna have a chance with Hachi at all, because one, we see the future arcs where she has 2 kids with Takumi, and we know that he's never gonna have a chance again. He ruined his shit. So I wish they would just dead that relationship. If we ever get more chapters, like I hope she deads the relationship and like ends it right then and there, because we don't need no lingering thing between these two. Just end it off, have them have their little emotional moment, their closure, and then that would be it. I was just pissed off at that moment when I read that with them chapters online. I was like, oh hell no. I'm like, dog, I was like, we already know this relationship is never gonna work, so like why are you still trying to push this right now to add some little drama? It was like, nah, it was like, no, stop that. All right, let's talk about Reira and Takumi. Now their relationship is fascinating because they have another big brother little sister relationship, but at the same time Reira has very unrequited love and she's in love with Takumi, but Takumi does not love her. He just views her as like, he loves her voice and all that, and he views her as a little sister, and he just wants to put her on this pedestal that anybody in the world can like basically hear her sing, because he feels like he's the only person that can show off her singing at her best and like at her peak and being the best of the best, because he wants to be the only one that will ever write for her and then, you know, like show off like how good she can be in songs and things like that. But Reira, she's in love with this man, and she's been in love with this man basically since the first day they met. When they finally, you know, have sex and all of that, and he talks about, oh, do you want to be my side piece? And she's saying yeah, and she's mainly just saying that out of emotions, mainly because she's feeling very lonely and depressed because of like how Shin does not want to associate with her, and like how she's had her stuff in the past, like with Yasu, like how nobody's ever picked her, and how she just wants to be picked for once, because she just feels like nobody ever wants to love her. And that's the thing that when it comes to her that she has, is that nobody's ever picked her and she wants to be picked for once. So when Takumi, like, he's like, yo, you can be my side piece, and she says yes, but eventually you see that she kind of does regret that, because Takumi's only doing it because he wants to keep Trapness like together. He doesn't want nothing breaking them up or anything causing any inconveniences, and that's why he really does what he does, which, I mean, he was an asshole. He was a big asshole for that, because he could have just told her, he's like, yo, I don't, us being together would never be a thing. He could have done so many different things, but instead he just went and did that because he was thinking that would be the only thing that could help them out, because of like how she was having her crisis. I guess you could say she was kind of not really having a crisis, but more she was just having problems and being lonely, and like freaking out because of like all the different people in her past. And like he just came there because he's like, yo, if this will help you just want to sing and all this, I will do this, because he's only thinking about trappedness. And that's him being an asshole and not really considering her feelings at all, because he knows he'll never be able to reciprocate her feelings because he does not love her. He only views her as a little sister. But he's like, yo, if you just want me to smash and this will make you feel better, he's just like, yeah, here, we can do this. But like she does realize later on, like especially when Rin passes away, that like, yeah, the thing, they should have not been doing that at all. She does realize that, even though she is enjoying it, because like she freaks out at first and like she's like acting like a high school girl when like they first are like starting to do stuff, whatever. But then you see eventually she does realize it's like that was a mistake, like a big mistake. Like it most definitely was. Like, why would you want to be a side piece when he has a whole wife and you know he gets around and he gets with multiple different women? Now Shin and Hachi's relationship is interesting because Hachi wants to start being a mom for Shin and like trying to take care of him and all that, when it's like Hachi's not the best example. Because one of the things that shows she's not the best example is how she's actually wants like Shin and Reia's relationship to actually like work out and pan out, because when she's talking to Takumi, she's like, yeah, I want them to meet and all that. And like not once does she say that their relationship is inappropriate and shouldn't be happening. One, because when she was a minor, she got with a grown-ass man, so that's why she does not see a problem. And that's why I think, like, dog, you're not the best example to say you need to be somebody's mom to show Shin what actual love is, when it's like, dog, you're not the best example your goddamn self, because you were a minor talking to an adult. That's why you're not there telling him why that's wrong, and that's why you want those two to like have a relationship and connect again. Now Rin and Yasu's relationship is another one I actually do like, because one, they are best friends and they've known each other forever, because one, they're in the same orphanage and we saw when they were younger like how exactly they were and like how cool they were and how they've always been really close. But at the same time, Yasu wants to push Rin to like get with Nana and like stop bullshitting, because like he's not here for his shit. But at the same time, we see how deeply close they are, especially, man, when he finds out that Rin died. You see even like him, he's one of the people that's always composed in this series, and we see even him, he's breaking down because he realized this is his best friend and he feels so goddamn sad because he's been with him for so goddamn long and he just feels so sad. I've loved their friendship because it just shows like how a good male friendship is, and like how two people that are close, yes, there's a little bit of stuff there where like they beef and like he tries to push him in the right direction, but at the same time they are really, really close, even though Yasu does love Nana and he loves her a lot. But at the same time, they're still really close, and he'll never really like try and go after and pursue Nana because he doesn't want to hurt Rin. Now another relationship I did like was Nobu's and Asumi, because it does start off as like a lust, because you know Nobu was feeling a certain type of way when he saw Hachi at that party, and then he tries to go after her, and then like you see he tried to use her as a rebound, but then he realized that he genuinely does like her and he wants to be with her, because there's multiple different times when Asumi wants to hide the fact that she's going to be making movies and all this other stuff when it comes to her being a porn star, and he's like, yo, tell me about these things and then we can talk about it with each other, and like how he really wants to genuinely be with her and he wants to stick around her. And that's why I didn't like the part when like Hachi shows up to the dorm and you had that little instance where they're having something. You saw that Asumi, she's very upset, and you saw that she's like, yo, why is he still here? And you saw that Nobu's trying to talk to her. I really hope at that moment they do not break up, but I think they are, because we saw the future arc where we don't see her anywhere, but we see Miyu, but we don't see Azumi at all. So I'm guessing they probably break up because of this, but I'm hoping it doesn't if we ever get more chapters. But I really do feel like she was a really great fit for him, because she genuinely liked him, and I mean genuinely liked him and wanted to be with him and only thought about him, unlike Hachi, who had other priorities and other stuff going on. I just felt like she fit him way better in my opinion. Now another relationship I actually really enjoyed was Miyu and Hachi's, because for the first time in this series I felt like there was a character that actually genuinely was a great friend for Hachi, and that was Miyu, because Miyu was vastly different than Junko, because Miyu knew when to give that emotional support to Hachi and then when to lecture her, because Junko would always do the opposite, where she would lecture her first, where like Miyu actually would emotionally support her and actually be there for her when like something's happening. She'll also lecture her, and that's what I loved about their dynamic. I love how they got close. It was actually a relationship that I really did enjoy a lot. Now a relationship I hope gets expanded on a little bit more, maybe if we ever get a Yasu backstory, is like Yasu and Shin, because we saw how close they are and like how he goes for her for help. Then that seems like that's the only person we've ever seen him go to somebody for help, and that's why why I really did like the relationship. I was like, oh, he actually has somebody he can go for help. It was even funny like how his foster mom was like, oh, she's like, Shinan's so nice, she's like, you guys should get married. And Shinan was like, I wouldn't mind getting married, but being your girlfriend, nah. Because we saw like how when they were younger, when Yasu and Reira were dating, we saw that she told Takumi, she was like, yeah, she's like, I'm in love with him, but like also I'm happy anytime he's with somebody else because I love him. So you saw stuff like that, like she doesn't want to be his girlfriend, but like she would be his wife. And we also saw that she's a ride or die, so I really did like that one. I like their dynamic. But I have a last few topics that I want to talk about. Some of the other stuff that I really enjoy about this series, or just other things I want to talk about. So one of the first things I want to talk about is just like how the future parts that are in this story, I can't wait until eventually, maybe sometime in the future, we get actually more chapters that we can know exactly like how all that leads up in that future. Because we saw that Nana is basically living in England and she has long hair, and I want to know like how exactly do we get there, like what exactly happens, because where the story ends off at, there's not really no pinpoint there that shows like that she's gonna go to England and all that. So I'm curious how that gets there, and also I'm curious about like Takumi and Hachi's relationship, what all exactly happens there, even Nobu and Azumi and all the other characters. I'm just wondering like how exactly do we end up in that future that just shows Nana is by herself, looks very sad, she has long hair, and I want to know what happens. Is that because she meets her mom and then like her little sister? And I'm also curious what's gonna happen there. So like there's really just like the feature parts and so many little extra things that I can't wait that we can finally get answers to if we ever do. Yeah, I know the series has been on hiatus for a long time, but I do hope sometime in the future we can get, you know, some of these answers. I'm just hoping, because there's so many things I have so many questions about, because reading the manga, like you read it and then you get sad because all the stuff is happening, but then you get sad because the series has been on hiatus for so goddamn long, and it just has so many different things that you're just like want answers to, because there's so many things, like even the Hachi and Nobu thing, like I'm hoping that gets cut off fast. Like there's so many different things I'm just like, dog, I need to know the answer to these. But one of the things I really did and love about this story is like all the connections that the characters have, especially when it comes to Yasu and like all of Trapness, like how he has a connection to them, and even like Nobu and Nana, because all of them are from the same city and they all have a connection. It's just interesting seeing some of the past, because when we get some of those like flashbacks, we see like how all these characters were connected, or how they were at the same spots at different times, and like how differently and vastly different they were when they were like back in their hometown when they were still teenagers, and just seeing like how they became the way they are. So that's the one thing I really enjoyed about the story, is just seeing some of those flashbacks and all the connections that the characters would have, because that is a very interesting and unique situation that characters would be in, that you have two bands that are from the same town, they actually blow up and they're big and they all knew each other too. Yes, that does happen in real life in certain instances, like there's rappers that like are from the same town, that happens all the time, NBA players, sports, I should say athletes, actors, comedians, stuff like that. There's stuff like that that happens all the time in the real world. So it was just interesting seeing that in Nana, and just seeing how close these characters actually were when it comes to Yasu and like all of Trapness, and then when it comes to like Nobu and Nana knowing Yasu and like Rin, and not really the other characters, but like Yasu having a connection there. One of the things I wish would have happened in this story is Yasu and Reira having like a heart-to-heart. I wish at that one moment when she came crying to his door, I wish she would have been like, why did you come to Tokyo now? I thought you only cared about law. I wish they would have had that heart-to-heart at that moment. I feel like that would have been amazing for her character growth, because she would have needed that, and at the same time it would have been nice to see like some of Yasu's like inner thoughts about like how he thinks about things too. I know for a fact he would have said he came because of Nana, but at the same time I would have loved to see like that dynamic between those two, like them having a conversation and then them getting the closure that they need, because Reira, she really needs the closure, and we see that in the series that she needed that closure badly, because she ends up with Takumi though. But yeah, Nana was a fantastic read, just like the anime, but there was so many heartbreaking moments that I experienced that made me cry, made me mad, made me sad, made me so goddamn upset, made me happy. There's so many different emotions that I feel when I read this series and even watch the anime, but I just hope sometime in the future that Ayazawa comes back and writes some more of Nana once her health is better, if she ever does come back. I just hope that someday we do get some more chapters, that we can get some of these unanswered questions resolved, because there's so much that still feels like there needs to be in this story though. But yeah, let me know how y'all feel about Nana, if y'all read the Nana manga or the anime. This is a series I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, because it's a fantastic series, and it's a very realistic series when it comes to just showing off relationships and showing women in their early 20s and showing some men too. Also, Takumi's character is a fascinating character, but at the same time he's an asshole, and I hate him because of all the bullshit that he does. He's one of the worst characters in here, but at the same time he's kind of fascinating for certain things that he does when it comes to like his character, that makes me go like, is this his actual character or is this not his character? There's a lot of weird things, but yeah, Nana, amazing series. But yeah, I've talked about Nana enough though. If you enjoyed the video, why not like? If you didn't, you could dislike, subscribe. You really enjoyed. But yeah, if y'all want me to talk about more Nana stuff, just let me know in the comments, because trust me, I will talk about more Nana stuff because I love this series a lot. And I mean, just like a lot of other people do, they love this series. But y'all can let me know if y'all don't agree with any of the stuff I said in this video. This was just some of my thoughts about the relationships and the characters and other stuff, because I can go more in detail with certain things. Also, Ren's death is still one of the saddest things ever, and it's one of the most heartbreaking things, especially because he was going to give Nana that gift. And then also, when they said that he protected his hands, that made me feel so sad, because like he knew that the only thing he was good for was playing the guitar type of thing. That's kind of what it gave off, so he knew he had to protect his hands, because that was where his money makers, and that was just one of the most heartbreaking moments though. But yeah, I'm done talking about Nana because this video is going on long enough though. But thanks for watching this video though. Bye.